the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basketball, and I am the originator of all the made-up names for the sports teams in movies, and I've never seen a single sports team in my life.
I'm John Gilardi, and I'm a righteous motherfucker.
Oh, baby.
I did it. I was surprised. I thought you were going to do that one, honestly.
No, I was just so taken aback by the name. I'm just like with the made up names for sports teams is so fucking. There's so
much to talk about.
I don't know what it is.
Movie. It's
There's
fun.
so much.
I channeled
so
my,
today we're gonna
my Jamie Foxx for my intro. I feel like I have to give some context for that since it comes right out of the gate. But yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about one of the movies about football in celebration of the return of the football season, the NFL football season.
Yep.
I think by the time this gets out, it'll be week 3 or maybe it'll be after week 2.
It'll be like week 4 or 5, I think.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Hey, I don't know.
At the time
but
of recording,
it started.
Week 2 just happened, so.
Yeah, week 2 just happened. The Eagles lost again. They're going to stay losing. It's great stuff. I love
Eagles
it.
Fly. Did you get your Hurts jersey like everyone else?
No, I didn't get my Hurts jersey. I haven't had an Eagles jersey since Coy Detmer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but he was never even I'm pretty sure he was a backup quarterback that they signed. I honestly have no idea. I don't know how I ended up with that jersey, but that was the only Eagles jersey I ever had.
That's probably collectible, honestly.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's gone.
Oh, man.
But I know.
Yeah. So,
but today,
go ahead. Sorry.
In honor of football, it's starring a bunch of good actors, including the incorrigibly yelling Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx, Dennis Quaid, LL Cool J, Lawrence Taylor, football player Lawrence Taylor, as well as I saw
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown was in this movie.
Yeah.
James Woods, Matthew Modine, and Aaron Eckhart. I mean, also Elizabeth Berkley, Anne Marie. This movie is like loaded with talent, and it was directed by Oliver Stone.
Indeed.
Give us a little synopsis for us, baby.
So we have the Miami Sharks, a pro football team. They were at the top of the world 4 years ago. They won the Pantheon Cup, which is the Super Bowl for them, and it's been 4 years, and they've been going downhill slowly, and they've been aging and getting old. And in the meantime, Cameron Diaz has taken over as the owner, and she's trying to revitalize and hiring a younger coach and different tactics and stuff. And so it's a very in with the old, or out with the old, in with the new, and a very kind of transitional stage of professional football, as like TV contracts and brand deals and all these things. And that's the movie essentially. The starting quarterback gets knocked out, and then the backup quarterback comes in.
Then the backup quarterback gets knocked out.
Yeah. Sorry. And then so the third stringer, Willie Beeman.
Willie Beeman.
Yeah, Willie Beeman.
Steamin' Beeman.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what confused me. He comes in. Jamie Foxx plays him, and it's actually fascinating to have him as a black mobile quarterback, and like this was a reflection of football at that time. And how they talk about him and just how everyone reacts to it and the way he is going through. And then when you have today, how the NFL has evolved, And it's really
this movie came out in 1999, and this was like very much the conversation. And it's funny too because we'll probably get pretty sportsy in this episode. So if you're like, hey, I'm not here for the sports. I think this allows us an opportunity to do a lot of sports stuff. So maybe this is one that you're like, all right, cool. They let me know it's going to do sportsy stuff. I don't know. Yeah. Get out of here or stay. I don't know. Live your own life.
Yeah, maybe you'll pick something
Just
up.
letting you know.
Yeah. So fascinating movie that ages well. And even though it's a lot of its time with like certain things happening. With the mobile quarterback or the TV brand deal, that being a new thing, there are still a lot of like timeless things in this about sports and football as it is, and it's fascinating. I'm looking forward to really diving in.
It is. It's very interesting because this movie came out in 1999, and it really reflected the sort of like the commentary that still like. It's so funny too that this movie came out in 1999, and you like very famously have Bill Polian, who was like a talent evaluator for the
Colts.
The Colts. And I think he was the GM and stuff too. And he like, I'm pretty sure, did he draft Peyton Manning or whatever? So people were like, wow, yeah, he really gets it. But it's
he
Peyton
did.
Manning was.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so he very famously said one of the more famous and a recent MVP of the league is Lamar Jackson, who is a black mobile quarterback. And he very famously was like, this guy should be a wide receiver. He can't play quarterback.
Oof.
Cut to and later him winning the MVP. And it's just like, it's so funny to me that this movie happened in 1999, and that was like sort of like one of the centerpieces around it. And then years later, it feels like every 10 years, they sort of like have that same conversation, where they're like, oh, can you win with the mobile quarterback? Nope. No, Peyton Manning won another one. Oh, Tom Brady won another one. Oh,
yeah.
Can you win with the mobile quarterback? It's just a gimmick,
Yeah, I mean, I think that was put to bed. I mean, Lamar Jackson's pretty recent, so that's just more Bill Polian being the old guard, which is a theme in this movie. But I mean, I think like Michael Vick, and then you're going back to Warren Moon.
I mean, Randall Cunningham, talking about my Eagles.
But, you have them, and then about 7 years later, or 7 to 10, 15 years later, you have Michael Vick, and then another 7, 10-ish years. You have Cam Newton, and ever since Cam Newton, the league's been different, especially after his MVP year. So,
but that was recent. That's 2015. I'm pretty sure his MVP year was.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. It's just interesting that it still has. It was happening then, and it's like. It didn't get resolved. No, I don't know. It's just funny.
It's crazy how things don't change. It's interesting to see how much things have changed in this movie, particularly with the health side of things, the CTE, the awareness around that, and then how it's changed now. But even then, it was something they're touching on. Like that's I think what feels most ahead with this movie is the visceral like questionable ethics of the medicine and using these guys as essentially like cattle, like to make money. Yes, they're getting paid a lot of money, but it's still like their bodies and like they're just on the line, for bigwigs, for the.
It was a really interesting thing too. Yeah, it was a really interesting thing too to hear James Woods, who plays who plays a team doctor in it, and whenever he was like, I mean, that's awful, but what am I gonna do? Like, it was so interesting to listen to his explanation of not telling the player about his possible bad injury or his possible thing, and it's like, in a weird way, it makes sense, but it's also like no, and especially now looking back at it, it's like no, that's a really bad argument, but you could see the sort of like the pathos in it, where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand.
There's inevitability about it. He's like, I'm just cutting out a step in the process. Like he was gonna go against our words and go perform, even if he could die, so he could get his bonus.
Yeah.
Or shit like that.
Yeah.
And if it's a net zero, there's a very logical side of people who would be like, yeah. But obviously there's huge ethical ramifications of not disclosing shit to people, especially like, hey, you could die if you go out and get hit wrong. So
I'm going to go ahead and say this is like, I don't like this movie. I think it's a bad movie, but I also really like it in the sense that a lot of the stuff, the reason that I don't like it is because it's so preachy and the way that it's shot is so jarring, and all the stuff feels like it's almost good, but it's so heavy-handed with like all of the stuff to me. But that being said, there's a lot of really good threads that are like played out about football, about the old not moving on, and like sort of the connection to America. But I take umbrage with Oliver Stone like jamming it in our mouths. So it's like
that's
I
kind
like
of
this
like
movie.
his thing though. Is he's kind of a
Yeah,
a
it
jammer in
is.
the mouth.
It made me disdainful that I watched other Oliver Stone movies.
Yeah, I mean,
I did not like the way that this was structured, and I felt like there was a lot of really good pieces in it.
Yeah,
but like a lot of the stuff was also like really contradictory to me, where I just felt like we were missing pieces where people's motivations would change from scene to scene in order to get his point across. And then like the monologues for Al Pacino. Anyway, so but that being said, it's like the bits are still good and the cast is amazing. And yeah, a lot of the issues that I have to do with it have to do with Oliver Stone and sort of like the preachiness of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree there. In terms of the way it's shot and the editing, I can't defend the non-football action, but the way the football games are filmed emotes closest to what I've ever seen and felt when I was playing, and being on the field, and the emotions of everyone yelling, and even the POV shots were extremely good. I played quarterback, so particularly because you get a lot of stuff from quarterback's perspective, and it's I would say it's spot on how it feels, and it's extremely authentic, and I love that, and it brought back a lot of memories, particularly when there's a part where Jamie Foxx is running for a touchdown, he jumps, and he gets hit, and he kind of like helicopters, like it's kind of spins in the air, and so he runs, he jumps, he gets hit, and it's a POV of just spinning, and it's quiet, and then he hits the ground, and the noise comes back, and like that's real. That's happened to me many times, Oh
my God!
Just the tumbling, and not the helicoptering, but just that sequence of events of you get hit.
Yeah.
All you're seeing is a fixed position because you're at the whim of a guy hitting you, or whatever. You're being constrained because they're wrapped around you, and you just see that fixed picture move, whatever it is, into the ground, spinning, and it's all quiet. And then it comes. It's just, I don't know. So that particular example, like this movie gets the football action so right, and
And that was going to be, that's like, again, there's bits that are really good because it's like the claustrophobia of like those moments and like the split and like the fuzz and the in and out and stuff of that, where it's like, that's anytime there's any sort of like bang bang play like that, which is all essentially what football is, you have like moments and then you have like sprint, fight or flight, here we go. There's no like the constant ebb and flow of soccer or football or soccer or basketball.
Yeah.
So it's like you're either going or you're trying to figure out where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that did feel good. But man, so that did feel good. And I liked that. I liked the sort of like the chaos and like the crush of everything.
Yeah. And in terms of like the monologues and the other like the weird camera zoom ins, like the weird like establishing shot halfway through a sequence, like I don't know, like there's a part where he's talking to Jamie Foxx at his house. In the middle of the talk, there's like a zoom in of his house, and then there's clips of old football in the clouds, and I think it's heavy handed, and I think it's kind of the cutaways to like the old footage of the crowd yelling, and it's like, and I think
okay, got it. Yeah,
I think it's a little patronizing.
It is.
It's unnecessary, but it also feels visually fresh in a sense of maybe it's because the monologue is pretty generic that it livens it up, or maybe like the visual aids, even if they're stupid and patronizing. It's still interesting to see, like in terms of the ride and just the pacing of editing. I don't know. It's just different, and so it was interesting. Like I wasn't bored necessarily. I was actively like into the moment, I guess.
I mean, you're not allowed to be bored while if you're actually watching this movie. You're not allowed to be bored.
That's true.
Literally, your eyes are not allowed to be bored. You know, it was so funny. I mean, it was just like, and the thing is like a lot of the stuff that he sets up. And again, some of the stuff is cool, like where he has like sort of like he'll do an angle of a monologue. He'll do like 3 different angles of a monologue and kind of like cut between them in sort of like jump cuts.
Yeah.
And it's like to kind of like to like ramp up in the course of a monologue, and it's like that's kind of cool. But some of the times he would do that and to set up where he would have like Al Pacino framed by the ghosts of the past, a ghost of his past or whatever, and you know, something like that. And it was just like, but I don't know if we needed 3 different shots of that, and then to cut into the crowd, and then cut into the sky and lightning, and it was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I think you can accomplish, and it's like I think you can accomplish all those things by A, writing a better script, but also B, like creating good shots. And then putting the information that you want in it. If you're trying to have him looked over by the ghost, that's completely achievable and is like kind of cool. Like, great job. But don't give me 3 different shots of it. And then like, that's the thing that annoyed me, is that he was like, hey, look, he's got all the ghosts behind him. Hey, look, he's got all the ghosts. He's got all the ghosts behind him. Look at all the ghosts behind him. Okay, do you understand? Do you understand the depth? He's working against tradition here. He's got so much tradition and stuff behind him, and you don't even understand. He can't even accept it because he's so trapped in the past.
Well,
it's just like, all right, Oliver.
These were Oliver Stone's decisions, or I don't know, whatever. He was top down. They were his decisions, probably. But I wonder how much of it was a product of the time. Of just the medium and editing and popular culture. Then, you know, that's true. That's a big factor there. You know, one movie that I think does this well, but is very similar in that style, is City of God, with those like quick MTV edits and camera scrubbing and just weird stuff. And it makes me think, because I remember learning about City of God, where it was a few years behind the curve, but it was like this adoption of this style, and it did really well. And that puts that at 2002 when City of God came out. And this movie, you know, it kind of checks out that maybe this was a thing in the time. Maybe maybe people didn't love it, and that's why you don't see a lot of it. Maybe that's why I only can come up with 2 examples. And I think there's some hokey teen action movies that I can kind of are fuzzy in my brain that I can kind of maybe lump this style into. Yeah, but. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't necessarily... Yeah, I don't know. It also could have just been where it hit me, you know, when it, like, how it hit me, and it was just like, oh my gosh. It was just like, I don't know. The other thing that was really funny to me, talking about not real people, but you know the moment whenever... Dennis Quaid goes to his wife,
yes,
and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna retire at the end of this year," and she's like, "How the hell you are?"
Basically, calls him a pussy. Just like,
yeah, pussy. It's like, what the? No, are you kidding me? How is this the direction this conversation is taking?
There's like 1 in a million wives that would have taken that stance, and I guess she was the 1 in a million. Like the lack of compassion, understanding, like the vulnerability of him, like saying, like, like he should have had that conversation. And it's not like she doesn't see him have memory lapses or struggle or wake up in pain or take medication or what. I'm assuming, you know, it's on the movie.
Yeah,
but it's like the lack of. It's just like insane. And the payoff is her seeing him lay it on the line in this playoff game, and he gets hurt, and she just sinks into the crowd and sits as everyone else is cheering. And that's her. That's what, like, she realized she fucked up. And it's like, I don't buy that. Like,
I don't buy it at all.
She would, if she was at that place saying, no, you go out there and play, even though you're afraid of your future in your body, being sustainable. You go out there, you big baby. This is what you do. You know, and it would take a lot more for her to understand what the hell's wrong with her, than him getting, because like he was getting sacked and fucked up all games still. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah, and well, the thing is they've got kids. Like, there's no way that she's like, hell yeah, fucking. I hope that my husband is disabled and unable to really help with the raising of our 2 young kids. Fuck yeah.
They definitely
be a man.
Yeah. Play with a broken back. Be a man.
Yeah.
There's definitely have you seen those memes?
Yeah, I've seen those memes. Okay. I love them.
Yeah, they definitely need some couples counseling, or he needs to ditch her ass. That's borderline evil.
Here's my thought. And I think that this is not indicated that that's the way that it is at all. But what if that was like what he thought she would say if he said that? So he never said anything. But we never got that intention. Like, for all intents and purposes, he said that to her and she was fucking mean about it. But
like you're saying, we saw a perception of his fear, not the reality.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, he's sitting there eating a hot dog and he's thinking, he plays through this sequence where he tells her, and she's like, "Fuck you, you pussy." And he's like, "Oh, she's going to say that. There's no way." But it's like, it's internalized, or he's internalized that himself. But also, that's me trying to find meaning in something that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, that's art.
To me.
It's art. If that's how you want to take it, that's how you can take it. You know?
Yeah. But that would mean that I would have to rewatch the whole movie to try and think that it was, to try and find that, because then I might be able to find something more from it. But also...
Was this the first time you saw this?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is my 3rd time seeing it.
Yeah.
I like this movie. I guess
that's reasonable.
If you put out your stance, I'll say I'll put this. I like it. It is tons of faults. But I'm such a fan of football, particularly, and then the business side and the leadership side of it. And it's just fun to see what feels probably like the most representative of the NFL. And it doesn't glorify it. It does, like, there's this weird fantasy element of it and glorification, but it's just, there's also this like understood truth that it is also messy and imperfect. Yeah. And it doesn't hide any of that. And so that's a really interesting take, and it's nice to see, because it probably, you know, I don't know, but it feels pretty 1-to-1. And I'm a huge Patriots fan, but I've read all the books and biographies and reports of, you know, journalists and authors following them, and even just from the Patriots organization, all this stuff sounds pretty spot on. That's been reported out of that locker room, and that's in all intents and purposes a pretty put together locker room. So can you imagine those teams that are just a mess? So I don't know.
I know. No, I mean, it's, yeah. I think that, like, again, like I said, that's what I was excited about, a lot of the aspects of it. And I think too, it's like all the threads that he has, like, it almost would be better served. And I think that, doesn't Ballers do this? But they always have to like, you know, commodify it. But I really feel like
Ballers is pretty close.
Make it like they have to make stuff exciting. So it's like, oh, they gotta shoot. He gets shot. There's murders and stuff going on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very drama, lowest common denominator kind of stuff.
But at the same time, it's like, I feel I would very much just like to watch a show that's like about like the Patriots, which is like kind of what Hard Knocks is. But again, that's a documentary, and it's like, no, I want to see like a dramatization of it that's not like over the top. Yeah. Like I want to see like the Office, but of a football team, and like get into or yeah, but I do like the business aspect of it, where it's like, I don't know, that would be fun, like going to the contract negotiations.
Yeah, I think honestly this lore, cinematic universe, of Any Given Sunday could be retold in a TV show format. And a lot of the things, I think, besides the editing and the monologues, a lot of the stuff would be fixed. Like the weird kind of unexplored storylines of like Cameron Diaz. She has enough screen time, but it feels shallow, her kind of journey.
Yeah.
To LL Cool J, his character journey doesn't really feel that, like, we're being shown and almost told he's important, but nothing about him or his development. There's nothing there. I think there's something interesting there. Lawrence Taylor guy, he's pretty good, I'd say.
Or like an offensive lineman. I would love to see a story about an offensive lineman.
Yeah, that too. And
just because like they're in the trenches and it's like, I don't know, dude. I could see like a show where you have I'm just making this up. But like, so we've got Any Given Sunday, we've got 10 episodes. We kind of get to focus as we go through. You got 17 episodes because you got one game a week essentially.
Oh man.
And you can kind of like tell a different story over each. Maybe you have 18 because then you get the bye week and you can talk about that. But anyway, but you get to like episode 4 and it's just like this big dude who's like going about his day and like
he goes hunting.
Kind of just he goes hunting and like he like comes back and he's like really low key and he's like this young dude who's maybe living with his mom or something like that, and you're like, why the fuck? Because I always love that whenever like a show does that where it's like, why the fuck am I watching this dude? Like, it's nice, it's cool, and it like, I guess it sort of relates, you know, but it's like we don't see him do anything. He goes to work and he comes back, blah blah blah, and then it gets to like game day and he's like the young guy who's like the young offensive tackle who's like called in, you know, or whatever the thing is. He's like 26, he's a journeyman, and he's like been there. It's like, hey, fucking everybody went down, we need you to step up and here's your assignment. That would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think the TV show of Friday Night Lights is probably pretty close to that. But
I've seen that. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a
but
great
it's
show.
also kids.
Yeah, which is
I want to see, and it's also dramatized, where I'm pretty sure there's some murders and stuff in that.
Yeah, quick pivot, but I'm watching the show in the background, and I saw a part where they're looking at the schedule, and I paused it, so I have the team names actually. So, do you want me to read them out?
Yes, please.
So the Minnesota Americans, we see them. I think we see
great
them.
stuff.
Yeah, the Houston Cattlemen, fair. Thematic.
Okay.
This one's curious, and it must be Washington State. Washington Lumbermen.
Okay.
The Oregon Pioneers, New York Emperors, Chicago Rhinos,
awful.
Colorado Blizzard, San Francisco Knights, Orlando Crushers, Wisconsin Icemen,
wow.
Kansas Twisters, Seattle Prospects, California Crusaders, which I'm pretty sure is Texas. So that's a little bit of a gaffe right there, because they play Texas and they're the Crusaders. And the New York.
Well, I think the Texas Knights.
No,
are they not Knights?
The Knights are San Francisco. Because there's two different. Because like there's the one team, I think it must be San Francisco, where they go out with the horses, the knight and the lady. And then the Crusaders are the Texas team with like the crusade, like with the shitty jerseys, which I do want to talk about, which is on topic with this. But yeah, I don't know, how do those names hit you?
Those names hit me like a fucking lead of bricks, dude. So what the Orlando Blizzard? What is the Orlando Blizzard? No,
Orlando Crushers.
Orlando Crushers.
Yeah, that's like a 10-year-old made up a sports name,
bro.
The rest,
that's so bad.
Yeah, that's really
the rest. The Oregon Pioneers is fine, but they're also like, I don't know, man. The uniforms are always so bad. And you played Madden, right?
Yeah, I like the Sharks. I think I like the simplicity
the Sharks
of
is
theirs.
fine, but they're also like mascots, but they're also like they're like essentially like kind of like a 1-for-1 of the Raiders is what I was trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not 1-for-1, but they're like Miami, but like also the Raiders where they got the black. Miami Sharks isn't bad. But that was like that must have been like the best
important
one that they came up with.
Yeah, it's important to get
They were
them
like,
right.
we worked real hard getting that one, so never mind.
I don't know what stadium they shot in for the Sharks home game, but there was one team that they shot in the actual Miami Dolphins stadium, which I would recognize.
They mentioned early in the movie that their crosstown rivals, the Dolphins.
Yeah, so
I think so. The AAFA is
that logo is
separate
terrible.
league.
It's a square with the 4 letters on each flat surface of the square. It's so bad. I think this is kind of a riff on the USSFL or USFL. You know about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Steve Young came in that. Like so many people came in the league with that. I was actually a pretty legit competitor for the NFL.
And then Donald Trump took it over.
He did?
Yeah, well, he didn't take it over, but he wanted to, because the NFL wouldn't give him a team. There's a whole documentary on it. That's really cool. But like,
of the USFL,
the NFL wouldn't.
I want to watch that.
Yeah.
And the XFL is another one.
Yeah, the XFL, but the XFL has always been, what it is.
Yeah.
Golden Eagles. Man, I want to just get the names because the Madden relocation team names have always been bandits.
You know what the funny thing is? I was playing with I did a Madden franchise mode, and I moved the team to Puerto Rico, and that was the Puerto Rico Sharks. Kind of close.
That's not bad.
Geographically to Miami. But I made the team black and white, and it's just total coincidence. I think I had seen any given Sunday, but it was just like it wasn't on top of mind or anything. So it's just funny. So I'm already biased. Like I clearly thought that was a pretty cool kind of concept.
But Puerto Rico Sharks is all right.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's always so fucking like they're so bad.
The
Pioneers.
Well, you've seen the Japanese baseball game where they're trying to make American names.
No, what is that?
What? You haven't? Oh man, I'm about to blow your mind. All right,
blow my mind, dude.
It's like I gotta find it.
Any given Sunday, team names.
All right, you ready for this?
I'm gonna rate these.
So this is a Japanese American game, or a Japanese game about American baseball, and so the developers made up what sounded like American names.
Okay.
And it's pretty good. So we got Sleeve McDykel.
Sleeve McDykel?
Yeah, there's like 20 of them, so brace yourself.
Oh my. Okay.
Onsen Sweeney, Daryl Archideld, Anatoly Smorin, Ray Misgriff,
whoa,
Glenn Allen Mixon, Mario McClarain, Raul Chamberlain. It should be Chamberlain, but it's Chamberlain. Kevin Nogilny, Tony Schmerick, the best one.
Tony Schmerick.
That's the one that cut you.
It hit me good.
Bobson Dugnut is my favorite.
Bobson Dugnut.
Willie Dustis. Willie Dustis. Jerome Gride.
Mr. Dustis.
Scott Dork. But Dork spelled Dourque.
Okay.
Shaun Furcoat. Dean Weasery. Mike Truck is a good one. Mike Truck, yeah. Dwigt.
Classic.
like from The Office, Dwight Dwigt.
Yeah, Dwigt.
Rortugel. Tim Sandale. Carl Dandleton.
Carl
Dandleton.
Carl Dandleton?
Yeah. Mike Hernandez and Todd Gonzalez.
Bro.
I'll send this to you.
Todd Gonzalez. You got to send me that.
Yeah, enjoy.
You got to send me that because then I can. That's some fucking.
You got to spread that to your friends. That's
some
good.
NPC. That's some D&D NPC shit right there. That's fucking good as fuck. Sleeve McDykel.
It's so good.
Onsen Sweeney. Oh my gosh. Anatoly Schmorman is awful. That's not a like a lot of these, but Anatoly Schmorman, that's a weird That's a weird American name. Bobson Doug Nut. Oh, classic.
And then
Tony
Mike
Schmirk. Mike Truck.
Why did Tony Schmirk get you?
I don't know, dude. Tony Smerrick. It's such a. I don't know. It hit me good. Tony Smerrick. Oh man.
Just in case you missed it, that these are names made up by Japanese developers in the late 80s, early 90s for a baseball game in Japan or something like that.
Oh.
This is from a 90s.
Like these are the free agents. These are the free agents that you could sign.
This is a
Dwigged Rortrugal.
This is from a 90s baseball game where a Japanese game designer had to make up a bunch of American names. Is the setup. So
here's the full. I found the full list: Albuquerque Aztecs.
Yeah, that's
California Crusaders, Chicago Rhinos, Albuquerque Aztecs. That's all right. Probably would get changed today. California Crusaders, pretty sure that's a continuity error. We could talk about that in a second and then talk about their uniforms. Chicago Rhinos, awful. Just like terrible, awful, bad. No connection to like.
Yeah, that's a 10-year-old name.
Chicago Bull, that's an awful name. Colorado Blizzard, also awful. But there's promise there. Yeah, it's cold. Something, I don't know. Blizzard
it's not even though.
Doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Blizzard?
Minnesota Blizzard would have made sense, not the Minnesota Americans. Also,
yeah.
all the people...
Minnesota Americans doesn't make any sense.
All the people in Minnesota are Norwegian and Scandinavian. And
yeah.
I don't know.
That's why they're the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Listen, Minnesota Americans, no disrespect to anybody from Minnesota. You guys are just as American as everybody who's a part of the American nation. I love it. But I don't know if that's where I would throw you guys. I would throw your name. I would give them so many cooler names.
It would be somewhere in the... I mean, it'd be
like these aren't even.
Yeah,
these aren't even fucking like college names. Like college football, like college teams have crazy names. There's a Wisconsin Iceman, supposedly, Oregon Pioneers, Los Angeles Breakers, which again is just Chargers, I assume. Kansas Twisters, awful.
You know what this sounds like? I think what I can relate it to, besides 10-year-olds, is played rec sports, as in elementary school, and my friend's mom she ran the rec and she made the team. She ran the leagues. She ran the whole rec for the little city we lived in, and that's what the name of the teams were. Like she would just come up with names like this, and that's what it feels like. And no disrespect to her naming conventions, it doesn't fucking matter. It's like 10-year-olds, not even 6-year-olds playing soccer. But this is supposed to convey a like professional sports league, you know? And
yeah, I mean it's different. It's different
curious.
Again. It did you ever read any of those
yes.
Christopher books?
Yeah,
you know
the
what
sports.
I'm talking about?
Yeah, the very
oh my gosh,
super specific
Matt Christopher.
Team. Yeah,
I think they were again. They just had awful names, but also if I was an 11-year-old and I wanted to play for the Yellow Jackets and we had like special Yellow Jacket uniforms, that's fucking sick as hell. But when I grow up, I'm gonna play for the Athletics or I want to play for the fucking Yankees or something.
I was so jealous of the Little League, how they got to just wear jerseys and hats of the real teams. So you ready for US?
They did?
At least where I was, yeah. They got to like Oakland A's and Boston, right? Like people wore.
We did that for Fall League, but it was really cool. The Little League team that I played for was Longley Supply Co. But they had they were like one of the longer sponsors of the Winter Park Baseball League. And so we had 4 different uniforms where we had green special, and everybody else just had like regular stuff. But we had uniforms that were like fucking special made. We had blackout uniforms and like stirrups and stuff. It was the coolest thing ever to be in Little League and to play for Longley because they had the fucking coolest uniforms.
Yeah, I in high school, middle school, high school. My first year of high school, I played on the Rams. We were white and blue, super clean, and then had ram horns.
Nice.
But instead of like the LA Rams now or St. Louis Rams, the horns were not a lot of detail, but they looked like ram horns. It was sick. Blue helmet, white face mask, white decal, super clean. And then I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're the Wakefield Wolverines, which is cool. Cool alliteration. It's a simple animal, but it's not like a fucking rhino. And we wore all black, just all blacked out. Lacrosse, football. You don't realize how intimidating that color is. In terms of just the jersey, it just makes you look bigger. It's just like scientific, and so you just have a team of already big people coming at you. It's the best.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So, I got USFL teams if you want to see how those measure up.
Stack them up to me.
All right. Arizona Wranglers, Birmingham Stallions, Boston Breakers, Chicago Blitz, Denver Gold, Houston Gamblers, Jacksonville Bulls, LA Express, Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers, New Jersey Generals, Oakland Invaders, Oklahoma Outlaws, Orlando Renegades, Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers, San Antonio Gunslingers, Tampa Bay Bandits, Washington Federals.
I mean, I don't know. I think that there's something about those that are more specific.
Alliteration
that
helps
feel
too.
better. The alliteration always helps. I have to look at those now because I'm like I've been thinking about this too, not a lot, but like I've thought about this where it's like sometimes like if like the Orlando Renegades were good and they hit, and like if they were good, they'd be like okay yeah, like then it becomes classic,
Yeah. Well, their branding is Native American, so that
it is. I'm looking at it too. I'm looking at it now. But like Boston Breakers, that's got a good feel to it.
I have a Boston Breakers shirt. I bought one when I discovered the USFL was a thing. I was like, support.
Yeah.
Even though they don't exist.
The Chicago Blitz, awful name. Birmingham Stallions, not great, but whatever. Jacksonville Bulls actually kind of does it for me. I'm not sure why. So does the LA Express. I kind of like LA Express.
I like the LA Express.
In a weird way.
I like, there's a lot of American vibes here. You got Bulls, Wranglers, Gold, Generals, Gunslingers, Federals, Bandits.
Gunslingers does not do it for me. Gunslingers, not the vibe. Bandits,
Gamblers.
Not the vibe for me.
I mean, I guess I like it. Is maybe that was the branding, was to be very American.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, kind of cool in a sense, like a cohesive theming with the teams.
But they also, and again, I don't know, but it's like it doesn't feel. I don't know. It doesn't feel specific. But like Denver Gold, yeah, okay, that one works. That's specific. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing where it's like, do the Arizona Diamondbacks work because it's good, or does it work? I guess is another question.
Well, there's a whole thing of familiarity. If you were to look at a lot of the NFL teams or MLB teams with a fresh face, those things would seem outrageous. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like an NFL team like
the Arizona Cardinals works, but I think it's because Cardinals, like, it's also like the shape of the word and how it goes together. Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, it has a good, like, even if like if it was Charlotte Buccaneers, that would look stupid. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you got that Bay, and then you got Buccaneers with it. And it's got like a good little flow with it. Carolina Panthers, fine. New Orleans Saints, fine. Yeah, I'm with it.
I mean, Bears, Cowboys, Broncos, Texans, Lions.
See, but
these are all so simple.
Those are also classic.
But they're classic because it's all we've ever known. Like, it's been front and center,
Yeah.
And they have,
and then there's also, it's like the Packers or the Yankees or like the Mets or the Knicks, where it's just like, this is kind of a nonsense word.
Yeah.
But it works.
Steelers, Jets, Washington football team.
I kind of like the Washington football team.
I mean they're gonna rebrand, but I do kind of like it.
Have they picked a team? Have they picked a name?
They've put out some teasers, and you can actually see some of the logos. I'll send it to you if you're curious.
I am curious.
But I mean, I think like FIFA soccer is different, and it's good that it stays on its own. But I do like the classiness of clubs in the way they treat that stuff, and I think that Washington football team feels like the closest we'll get to that, like you have like Sporting wherever or United,
Liverpool Football Club,
stuff like that. What if it becomes FT, Washington FT, Tennessee Alliance instead of United? I don't know, but and it's funny because the Jaguars are owned by
Shad Khan.
Yeah, Shad Khan, who I believe is Indian, but I think English ties, and they tried to adopt a Jaguars logo that very much looked like a soccer club. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen it.
That's it's interesting.
Jaguars' new logo.
I wouldn't say it's a new logo. It's just an arrangement.
New logo test. I don't know.
I'll put it in chat for you.
Put it in the chat. Find it for me. Shad Khan is American, Pakistani.
Okay.
He's Pakistani, so
or maybe
would absolutely hate that you said that. He was Indian.
Oh my god. But maybe I'm leaning towards the English connection because the Jags are technically.
that he has.
Well, they're technically a home team for England, for London. They play.
He's the owner.
They're supposed to play 1 or 2 games in London every year. So
yeah. He also owns Fulham Football Club of the Championship League.
So I wasn't unfounded. I was connecting some.
No, it's not unfounded.
This man's background. But yeah, I think that's the closest we could get to it. And I think it would be cool. It's interesting because in America we have the unique thing where we have amateur sports filling in the need for different leagues and any interest in minor leagues or Division II professionals or whatever. But I feel like we miss out on some continuity by only having like amateur college people feed the pros, and then there'd be one pro team. Baseball and hockey being the exceptions, and basketball tries to do it, but it's also, I don't know. It's like it's such an interesting thing because no one gives a shit about minor league basketball, or I don't know if there is minor, because that's essentially college. Is the best version of minor league basketball. Even if minor league basketball and football, where it's like, even if, the fact of the matter is like G League basketball is probably pretty good and like it's probably a lot more accessible. I bet you the people who live in the towns where G League teams play are like, hell yeah. How about the San Jose Warriors? Fuck yeah. But it is like, but minor league baseball is such an event, and that's like, it also is kind of like where they get to test out like new things, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, and I think that's a luxury afforded of having a lot of games in the season.
And a freaking million teams too, because they've got rookie ball, single A, double A, triple A, and then usually they'll just have those 4, but that's 4 whole rosters underneath their major league roster that they pull from.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Well, back to the movie.
It's
playing in the background.
Al Pacino a good coach?
No, he's not a good coach.
He's an awful coach.
Yeah.
Do we like Al Pacino's character?
I like
John.
I like that he's a vessel for kind of mortality and getting over being stubborn or being stubborn. I think he's the character, and Al Pacino is effective in conveying that, and I like that.
Okay. Yeah, that is I will 100% agree with that. But
and I think
is
on the
his
flip
speech
side,
good?
It's okay. I think
it's a bad speech.
I think it came at a genuine moment, It's
defeatist. It's outcome oriented. I think there's moments in there. There's one moment in there where he's like, we're gonna rip up anybody we're gonna pull apart anybody who's around us to achieve what we want. And it's like, that includes the team. Hold on. And then he like brought it around and like undercut it. I don't know, man. That character was very confusing to me and like really hypocritical pretty constantly.
Yeah. And
like he's like we're winning, and then he's like, well, hold on a second. He's changing the plays in the huddle. It's like, you don't know that by looking at the play that unfolds in front of you. You have to wait until someone tells you that he's changing the play in the huddle that you can't tell that. You're an awful coach.
Yeah, he's a bad coach.
Get out of here.
And
why would Willie Beeman sign with him? I don't believe that Willie Beeman signed with him.
I guess
I
hated
that.
I think he'd take any job. It sounds like where he was with his career.
Yeah, that's true.
But
and also, if
he's
going to give him that big of a contract or a big enough contract, yeah, that's fine. I'll go with him.
Yeah.
But
I see what you're saying. Yeah, after the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess who knows, but his character is very, besides the through line of age and changing of the guard and all that, his character's flaws and his journey is very unclear. You know, he doesn't have a family because he dedicated his life to the game. You know, that could have been a lesson to Cameron Diaz's character, because maybe her mom's not getting through to her because she's, you know, she's a drunk and she doesn't respect her or whatever. And then maybe there's something there that could have helped Cameron Diaz's character learn that.
But then they never came together and they were just mad at each other.
Yeah. And then him finding comfort in the escort, which like we visited, that kind of set up 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4 times.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was a big thing there that we really learned. I think it was more of this is what these guys are like. They don't give a shit. Like, this is what, this is the normal, like, to me, that felt like more like a peeling back the curtain. This is kind of what happens. But it happened, like, we saw her too much in him, and it wasn't a huge vessel for learning anything, really.
No.
And it would have been fine once, and then
also he didn't learn anything. I mean, I doubt that pretty much anybody who was a part of this learned or changed anything, except for maybe Willie Beeman, who was like, he was the one who had the best journey, where he was like, yeah, I'm coming up from nothing. I'm going to take everything that I can. And then he's like, actually, maybe I do need a team. But also that struck a little bit, like, again, too fast for me, where they were really quick to give up on him and be like, yeah, I guess, you know what? I'm going to let him get fucking rocked. Fuck that dude.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because he was talking shit. That felt so elementary.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of dong in this one, dude. A lot of penis. That was one of my favorite things. Cameron Diaz comes in, this dude just full dong out. She goes up to him and shakes his hand, and I'm like, he doesn't. Here, he's gonna cover up. It doesn't matter how great and big a penis he has. He's gonna be like, oh, excuse me, you didn't sign up for this. I also didn't sign up for this.
I just love the casualness.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, oh yeah, this happens all the time.
He's like, oh, like, she's like, where is so and so? He's like, she's over there, or he's over there, and it's so casual, and it's just such a funny juxtaposition of this like very like pleasant conversation between essentially colleagues, and one of them just nude, like dong just out.
Just dong out, just hanging out. But yeah, poor Al Pacino, he goes through so many things where he's like, he says it so, like, your father, like, it was so annoying because he was like, your father wouldn't have done it this way. Your father, and it's like, her father's dead, bro. Things change. Like, I don't know if you can hear yourself. You're clearly not hearing yourself, because it's like, I don't know. And then he's just like, all right, we're going to do it now. We're changing. I don't fucking know. I liked parts of it, but then I really didn't like parts of it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think I like the movie I think it's a guilty pleasure, and I just have fun watching it. And
don't be guilty. Listen, just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it should be a guilty pleasure. If it's just a pleasure for you, bud, it's just a pleasure for you.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to save face in front of you. It is because it does feel. It feels genuine, I guess, but it is done very weird. I don't know. I would say.
But you also have.
I would,
this was also the first time that I watched it, and you have a different connection to it. Also, you played football. I tried out for football, and I made the team, and I was the third string middle linebacker for some reason. When I was like, I would like to be a backup quarterback because I pitch and I can throw already. And they were like, you know what? You're gonna be the third string middle linebacker. And I was like, in what world? Me?
Linebacker is the default position. I can't tell you how many times I played Xbox Live as a kid, and just as a kid, you're more talkative, and like you just talk to people, and someone would say they play football, and I was like, oh, what do you play? Literally every single fucking time, linebacker. Every kid played linebacker. So,
yeah.
I just think that's
I guess until you. Well, anyway. But I go and they're doing was it the Oklahoma drill where everybody's on a line and you just run into the other person?
I think so. It probably has different names. But yeah.
Anyway, but we did that drill for warm-ups for the first game. We did that for the first game, and this dude, we did that, and got knocked down, and I fell on my arm and broke it before my first game, and I
wow.
Like I fell on my arm, and then he fell on top of me.
Oh, no.
And then they were like, oh, yeah, that looks like you probably sprained your wrist real bad. And then the doctor was like, yeah, you broke your arm. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't. That's not the vibe.
Jesus.
Farewell, football. It was nice to see you.
Yeah.
I tried.
I lucked out.
I
never got hurt.
And then it's also I tried out for lacrosse in 6th grade, and I got pneumonia from the tryouts because we did it we did it in the cold rain, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't know what I was doing, and then I walked home, and I got pneumonia.
Wow.
So, fuck your sports, John.
Well, I never played. I love baseball, but I never played it, so I'd always play like Sandlot kind of stuff, and that was fun.
Yeah.
So, I like your sport.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, what have you?
But fuck your sports.
What do you give this?
I'm gonna give it somewhere between stream it with friends, and don't see it because it's aged.
Yeah, I'll give it C.
Just because for me personally, it doesn't add a whole lot to the conversation.
I'll say see it with friends
outside
and stream it.
Yeah.
And I think it adds to the conversation if you're a football fan and you're interested in the current events and the dynamics and drama of real life football and all that goodness. So
there you go.
And
look at us, kind of disagreeing.
I gave it a 4. Ass slaps.
Ooh.
After a touchdown out of 5.
Okay. 4 ass slaps.
Yeah. I think I just love behind the scenes shit, and this movie is just a giant behind the scenes that felt pretty
Give it to him.
authentic, even though melodramatic. Yeah. But yeah, and what have you been watching?
I have been watching I started watching The Righteous Gemstones, which I've already seen with my dad and mom. And I love that fucking show. And I watched Oblivion.
Oh, nice. Was it your first time?
The Tom Cruise. No, it was my first. It wasn't my first time, but it was long enough. I was like far enough removed from it that I like kind of didn't remember. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure this is how it plays out, but I'm not sure how we get there. And then it like played out and we got to the thing, and then I was like, wait a second, that's not the end? Okay. So, yeah, that was fun. And then I watched The Neon Demon, but I think that I already said that I watched The Neon Demon.
I don't remember. You very well could have.
I don't remember either. But anyway, I didn't like that movie very much, but I also kind of did, which is a pattern with me.
Yeah. Conflicted viewer. I saw Prisoners of Ghostland.
Ooh.
It's a Nicholas.
Where is that?
Where did I see it?
Yeah.
Elmo. They got all the movies.
Where? Ulno?
Wait, at the Alamo. What? What are you asking?
At the Alamo. I thought you streamed it somewhere.
No, I went to see it. I don't know where you can see it. I just saw it. Christian wanted to go see a movie, and we saw a Nick. I was like, oh, Nick Cage is in this movie, so we saw it.
Gotta see a Nick Cage.
The movie was not good. A lot of people seem to like it. To me, I describe it as a movie that was made for people who want to like a cult movie. Like it's a movie made for people who want to pretend to be a cult movie fan. It's a very weird movie, in not a good way.
Gotcha.
Very boring too. It has its moments.
Gotcha.
I mean, I love to hear Nick Cage yell the word testicles like out the top of his lungs. It's fucking awesome. That's what I signed up for, but it's not there enough. And then I've started watching C, the Jason Momoa Apple show.
Oh, okay.
And it's super interesting. I didn't realize it was about a bunch of blind people in the apocalypse. So it's super compelling and interesting and fresh, and the way they kind of imagine that world. So I'm all about it.
There you go. There you go, dude.
Indeed.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, we'll see you guys next week with something cool. Probably Lord of the Rings or Lord of the Rings Fellowship will come out before this. I think we're hitting Lord of the Rings stuff at the perfect time because it's starting to get cold. Makes me think of walking.
Yeah. I'm down. It's going to be fun.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, thank you
as
guys.
they say in Miami. Oh, wait. Sorry. Hit us up. Thank you guys. Well, we botched the dismount again.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. And and
listening.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't watch, thanks for listening. And if you did watch, thanks for watching.
And
we love you so much. As they say in Miami, I'm a righteous motherfucker.